I think it's going to be a filter. And by the way, I don't know if this video is recent or we shared it the other day, or it's right after they killed Qassem Soleimani. I don't know exactly the date of this video. So just kind of verify when this video was. What does it say right there? This video was from 3 years ago. Okay, yeah, this is when we killed Qassem Soleimani.
But the attitude hasn't changed.
No, not at all.
It's not like their opinions have changed dramatically.
On the Shah thing you talk about with Mossadegh was a guy that came in who was the modern day Bernie Sanders.
Who wanted to nationalize everything.
He wanted to nationalize everything. He wanted to, nationalize everything, and then the Shah comes in. The Shah
comes back,
modernizes the whole thing. Education improves. Women finally have no longer, age of marriage for girls are no longer 8 years old or 13 years old. He raised it to, I think, whatever it was, 15 years old. And then women can actually go become lawyers and go to school. Education for women changed. Then what happened in the Middle East when Iran was ran by him, Reza Pahlavi, the Shah, is conflict in the Middle East was less, okay? Because now it was Iran who had a good relationship with U.S. for the most part, except when there was Democratic presidents, there was issues. But for the most part, they had a good relation with U.S. And he had his 25-year contract. He wrote if you can go to 1954 Iran oil deal, it was in 1954. The deal was coming up till 1979. That's what
Petroleum
it
or
is.
something?
So it's called the Consortium Agreement of 1954. This was a deal they did.
Yeah, British Petroleum.
Yeah,
right.
This was a deal they did. That was a 25-year deal. This is what's so interesting about it. Watch this. 1950 or so, provided Western oil companies with 50% ownership of Iranian oil production after its ratification in 1954, expiring what year? 1979. So the PM, I think the leaders of UK, US, I want to say France and one other country met in South or Central America to talk about how to prevent this 25-year contract from coming up, because the Shah was going to go away from the 50% deal.
That's right.
And he was going to rule the world. He was going to become so powerful. 1979 is when it expires. Guess when the Shah expired? Right, 1979. Right. Maybe a little bit of a strange timing on what they did with this year. And then comes Khomeini, comes Hezbollah, comes the 3,000 political prisoners, because Jimmy Carter's talking about human rights. They're freed. A lot of them ended up becoming the ISIS, the Hezbollahs, the Two-Day Party, the communists who ended up doing 9/11. So, and Carter was pushing this with them, the similar thing that he did with Cuba as well. And it's like, hey, you need to free. It's not fair for what you're doing with your people, human rights. He says, no problem. Here's 125,000 people I'm releasing from Cuba to U.S. And who did he release? Political.
All those guys.
I'm just a political refugee. I'm a political prisoner, right? Is what I am.
Scarface.
And boom,
From
unemployment in Miami goes up to 50%. But I understand what you're saying with the Iran situation and what's going to happen there. Mm-hmm. So let me bring you back to a different thing. If you got one last thought about this, I want to transition.
I don't want to just. The Iran thing is so fascinating to me, because I think they are the tip of the spear of what's going on in the Middle East. And then who are they funded by? China. What was the amount of money that they gave them? $400 billion? $450 million.
So
here's my question to you.
$400 billion, 25 years.
Okay. Sure. Just to kind of emphasize this. If you're a consultant or the national security advisor to whether it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden or whoever it is, you, PBD, how do you deal with Iran? Do you pull out of the nuclear deal entirely like Trump did? Do you get back into the nuclear deal? Do you give them any money whatsoever, the $6 billion for the hostages? How do you deal with Iran?
What do you do?
Yeah, I think Trump had it right, which, remember, there was clamoring for Trump to go to war against Iran and strike, and he resisted that. At the same time, he was tough and very firm, where he canceled the Iran deal, went after Soleimani. But you have to have your priorities right. What is best for America? Right? War with Iran is not what is best for America. There's some other facts about Iran that are important, though. I think the Iran situation solves itself over a period of time. I believe 50% of their population is under the age of 35. We can fact check it. They have one of the youngest populations on the planet, and we could fact check it. It might not be that extreme. But you have a very, very radical government. The people of Iran are incredibly talented. They're entrepreneurial. They're industrious. And I'm actually more bullish on the future of Iran if you can liberate them from the captivity that they're under.
You do that, is my point.
We
saw what happened last year with the girls.
That's one of the youngest populations.
We saw what happened when a girl took off her job. She was killed, beaten. The women have no rights there.
The answer is it shouldn't be a top priority of the American government, because we have so many problems here to execute a CIA coup d'etat in another country. You have to put sanctions on. You have to put them in check. You have to try to in my personal opinion, allow Israel to seek justice. At the same time, you cannot allow this to turn into a regional, broader war. You know why? Because the adult America is going to have to come clean it up. That's why. If we just kind of say, oh, it doesn't, this thing turns into a regional conflict, we're going to have more troops on the ground, and we're going to have to go clean up this mess, as Trump calls it, in the region of sand and death, while our own country is disintegrating and collapsing. But look, there's a lot of other technical things you could do to Iran, right? You can prevent them access to European markets, which Joe Biden hasn't done, right? They go and shop in Paris and London all the time. You cut that crap off, right? Just like lifestyle stuff that you could easily do. You cut off student visas, right, from certain Iranian expats. You can put extra sanctions on. There's a lot of other tools you can do. And the number one thing you can do is you drill, baby, drill here domestically, and you weaken Iran's energy hegemony. Basically, if you increase the oil supply, which Donald Trump had us energy independent and exporting more oil than we were importing, you significantly weaken Iran. And you weaken Russia, too, if you care about that, right? The more you explore for oil in the American homeland, the weaker these governments that are reliant on the petrodollar become.
What would you add to that, PBD?
I think he said everything and more than what I would have said. Look, here's interesting. I'll transition and kind of make sense to what you want to say. De Niro yesterday came out and ripped Donald Trump again.
Oh, God.
And he says Trump is evil. He wrote out a whole thing in a speech, want to be tough guy with no morals or ethics. Let me just read this to you, and then I'll give you my thoughts on this. So De Niro, keep going a little lower. The entire speech is at the bottom. Go lower, 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 lower. You'll see it when it's there.
I feel like
right
I
there.
read this article 3 years ago.
I know,
He does this like every 6 months.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't be with you today. A few days ago, I came down with a heavy cold. Okay, great. I'm with you in spirit. I'm watching this. Okay, go. I've spent a lot of time studying bad men. I've examined their characteristics, their mannerisms, the utter banality of their cruelty. Yet there's something different about Donald Trump. When I look at him, I don't see a bad man. Truly, I see an evil one. Over the years, I've met many gangsters here and there. This guy tries to be one, but he can't quite pull it off. There's such a thing as honor among thieves. Yet even criminals usually have a sense of right and wrong. Whether they do the right thing or not is a different story, but they have a moral code, however warped. Trump does not. He's a wannabe tough guy with no morals or ethics, no sense of right or wrong, no regard for anyone but himself, not the people he's supposed to lead or protect, not the people he does business with, not the people who follow him, blindly and loyally, not even the people who consider themselves his friends. He has contempt for all of them. We New Yorkers got to know him over the years, that he was poisoned the atmosphere, literal ego. We knew firsthand who he was. We tried to warn you in 2016, the repercussions, $3 billion in 2020. Okay, the man who was supposed to protect this country, put in peril, but of his recklessness, impulsion was an act of abuse. Okay,
how much
make
time
no
does he
mistake
have?
about it. The twice impeached, four-time indicted Trump is still a fool, but we can't let our fellow Americans write him off. Evil thrives in the shadow of dismissive mockery, which is why we must take the danger of Donald Trump seriously. So today we issue another warning. Okay, fantastic.
Jesus.
From this place where Abraham Lincoln spoke, right there in beating heart of New York, to the rest of America, this is our last chance. Democracy won't survive the return of a wannabe dictator, and it won't become over. Anyways, he keeps going. This is like ChatGPT
How many
of Robert
pages
De
is
Niro.
this?
But this is the point I want to make to what he says. Okay, great, got it. You said this a few
It's
years
like
ago.
Atlas Shrugged that just keeps going.
You know what he made? You know what he made me think about? This is what he made me think about. That Trump is a gangster. Okay, no problem. Who the hell chooses to become a president? One of two people. Okay, either somebody who is a gangster, or somebody who's controlled by gangsters that don't have a face to them. Which one would you rather have? So is Biden a gangster? No, he's just a face. Gangsters are controlling what he does. He's a face. Is Trump a gangster? He's a gangster.
Yep.
Is Reagan a gangster? He's a gangster. Is Kennedy a gangster? He's a gangster. Is Obama a gangster? He's not a gangster. He's controlled by other people. We can keep going on and on about all these gangsters. Okay, no problem. So I've actually spent time with gangsters, and like real gangsters.
Couple of
like any one of them that's living, I pretty much have them on the podcast, and we've spent time with them. Okay, we've had conversations on camera, off camera. And here's what I will say about the history of the mob. Whenever the boss was feared, people weren't going killing each other. It's just how it was in New York. Whenever the boss was weak, guess what people were doing? Going whacking each other. Why? Because the boss was not somebody that you feared at that level where he's going to come back and do anything to you. Okay, it was like, don't do it again, Adam. That's not cool, right? Versus, hey, you take the other made man out, or you put your hand on another, here's what's going to happen to you, right? There was a certain element of fear. There's three things that a great leader has to have. Fear, you have to be feared. Now, especially when you're running the most powerful country in the world, that's the hated and the loved and the admired. All three. You got to be feared. You got to be respected. And if desert, the last one is desert. If you can be liked, even better. Reagan was liked. Trump's not liked, okay? Let's just say among some of these other guys. Fear, respect is necessary. Trump was feared, and he was respected, and he walked around, love him or hate him. We didn't have wars. So going back to what you're asking about Iran, what he would do, here's what he would be doing. There's no 6-hour stand down or 3-hour stand down. Here's what we're doing. He's doing a, what do you call it, a press conference going out. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to. Remember that one time when he says, Abu Bakr, what was his name?
Baghdadi.
Baghdadi. He cried like, you know what he said to it. And you're like, who uses these words, right? He was begging. It was such a, can you pull up this video clip if you have it?
So
Obviously, it's almost like out of a movie. One day our kids are going to watch this movie about Trump and they're going to say, he would never say such a thing. No, son, go watch the real clip. He actually said that a president would never say something like that. But you know what? He did. So to me, this is the element where I have a hard time sitting here saying, yeah, none of this stuff is on Biden and U.S. I'm sorry. Nobody fears or respects or likes Biden. So guess what? All the gangsters out there are saying, dude, go and get everything you want. You know, hey, California, they say what? You can go rob CVS or whatever, all these stores. And say,
1,500
go for it, man. Go, guys, go. We don't care. We're okay with it. Newsom's more worried about Skittles than fentanyl the other day. You know, this guy's spending more time talking about Skittles. Go for it. So if you know, Biden is a governor of the world, let's just say he's the president now, the free world, everybody else is saying, if there's ever been time to go rob and take whatever you want, right now's the time to do, because we have no clue who the hell is coming next. So yeah, De Niro, as much as I love you, your movies, your work, you're an incredible actor. Dude, you are so, at this point, off base. It's not even funny how much anger and hate you have towards this guy. And I would love to see you actually sell, rather than bashing Trump, why don't you flip it on us, De Niro, and sell us Biden? Go ahead. Sell it to us. Write the same kind of a novel you just wrote, but sell Biden. Sell us how amazing the economy is. Sell us how peaceful the world is right now. Sell us how everybody is so comfortable with their jobs, their houses, their mortgage rates. Just sell us all of that stuff, how phenomenal he's doing. You can trash Trump all you want. He ain't the president. Biden's your president. What has Biden done? Why don't you do it? I'd love to see De Niro sell Biden. I don't know if he can do it. Maybe that's why he doesn't do it. It's easier to trash Trump than to go after selling us how incredible of a job Biden's done. Numbers came out the other day. I think it's the lowest
approval rating
that just came out about Biden.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts when you hear De Niro and some of these guys giving us a lecture here on who Trump is?
Well, first of all, you know you're Machiavelli. So one of the most important books ever written, really started the Enlightenment, is The Prince by Machiavelli. And we use Machiavelli as a pejorative, right? Oh, Machiavellian. We don't quite understand the brilliance or the insight of Machiavelli. Machiavelli was actually applying for a job. That's what The Prince was to the Medici family. He wrote a series of letters, and he was like, hey, hire me as your political consultant, basically, your political advisor. And what Machiavelli really wrote is, yes, I mean, there's a couple things. Ends justify the means, but that's such a small portion. It really is the most complete to date comprehensive picture of how to rule justly, how to establish order, and how to have different tribes and factions and sects be able to understand hierarchy, have you be respected, use fear as a weapon, as a tool. And he did it in such a profound way that, I mean, this guy knew his classics, he knew his Aristotle, knew his Aquinas and Augustine. Anyway, I happened to study The Prince over the summer, and it will blow your mind. And you know what? The more you read it, the more you realize how much the left plays by the rules of Machiavelli. Wow. If the right played by the rules of Machiavelli as much as the left, we would win. And I don't just mean the ends justify the means. I mean how to use political power. How to use political power. And you use that term gangster, whew, I got to tell you, Machiavelli laid out that kind of playbook. Trump, I don't know if he's ever read The Prince or not, maybe back in college or whatever, but
probably didn't.
But he plays that out. Niccolò Machiavelli. He started the Enlightenment. So he was the first guy to ever say, wait, hold on, we have all these old books and all these old writings. Why don't we just cast that aside and get what we want? And that was,
by the way, Medici family, one of the only families that kept their wealth for 5, 6, 7 generations.
Yes,
it's crazy.
Vanderbilt couldn't do it. some of these other families couldn't do it. Medici's been going for quite a long time.
Florence.
Which video is this? This is...
he cried like a baby.
Oh, I
Yes.
love this.
Okay, go ahead and play this.
I use this to go to sleep at night.
I don't know if this is the right one, actually.
Is this it?
See, I don't know.
Maybe.
The leader of the Taliban. You would obliterate him if he dared not to follow every dotted I, cross T, comma,
Boss.
period.
Abdul, I did. Had a
And-
conversation, had a number of conversations.
Didn't you at one point tell him, I know exactly where you are, and give him the exact coordinates where he was?
I sent him a picture of his house. He said, but why do you send me a picture?
Why is the music so loud?
I figured that one out.
You told the
What a
leader of
Yeah,
the
so I send a picture of his house.
It's very Machiavellian.
And then think about this, though, Charlie.
Yeah.
This is the amount of hate that they had for this one guy. Remember when he did kill Soleimani? You know what CNN was calling Soleimani? He's a freedom fight. Like they were almost feeling bad, and Pelosi and all them went after him for killing a terrorist. That's how much Trump derangement syndrome. It's embedded in people like that. It's embedded in people like Steve Schmidt, and it's past Trump. It's what they stand for.
Yes.
Is enough is enough. That strength strength through peace. That's how we have to roll, Charlie. Like, nobody
Peace
respects
to
us.
strength, correct.
Peace to strength. Everything is going to shit, and everything. I am tired of this. Everybody, we're tippy toeing. It's time that we start saying, "We told you so. We told you so about COVID. We told you so about the border. We told you that BLM was a scam, that they were trying to screw all of us over." How many times are we going to go no and brush it away? We told you. We tried to wake your asses up, and now you got him writing a soliloquy. Nobody gives a shit about De Niro anymore. But go make a movie. We don't have time to read that. He's just sitting around Pat in New York, just hating Trump. We have more shit to worry about than somebody worried about Trump, bro. Like it just drives me nuts.
When I hear De Niro, it's personal.
It's personal.
It's personal. Trump got together with a girl. He was something. It's
Probably.
got to be something.
It's
You
gotta be
cannot.
something,
You
yeah.
cannot. There's something that is so personal.
Oh, he hates
for him to have that kind of hate towards Trump.
I think you, because you have spent so much time with the gangsters and Michael and Sammy and a lot of our friends, you bring up a great point, PBD, and to any of my leftists or people on the liberal friends, I totally understand why it would be very easy to not like Trump at face value. I get it. But the whole, do you want a strong leader running the mob, the country, what have you? Or do you want a weak leader that nobody respects? And that's where you start to see some of the horribleness that happens over there. And to your point, who are the gangsters that are funding Biden or whoever the non-gangster president is? That's a very important point. I just don't want to just kind of gloss over that. It is something that is, when you peel back the layers of who's funding Biden, who's putting these things together, I totally understand why that makes a lot of sense.
By the way, you know this next debate that's coming up, the Republican debate, November, right? It's going to be
In
Miami,
Miami.
the one that's going to be here.
Yep.
You're going to be able to filter out all the candidates very quickly.
Very true.
I think it's going to be like a pure filtering system. What did he just say? Wait, what did she just say? Are you serious about? Okay, that one's gone. This one's gone. I know exactly where he's at. I know exactly where he's at. And I know exactly where she's at. Okay, cool. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is going to be the fastest filtering system. Not that they're going to be doing anything with presidency. I'm not even talking about presidency. But for you to know, like, administration, job, future, who's...
Israel, Palestine, because Nikki Haley's going to be up there right off the rip talking about let's bomb Iran.
Why do you say that this one's going to be more of a filtering one? Because nothing happened in California. It was a shit show.
Dude,
why Miami, though?
Because now you have, like... When's the last time something like this happened in Israel? 50 years ago? I mean, this is like the biggest catastrophic event they've had since the Holocaust.
That's right.
Some are saying, okay,
Most Jews dead.
This is not like, people are worried about Jews, in a sense of, how big the population is. It's 15 million people. You're not talking about 300 million Jews worldwide. You're not talking about 700 million Jews worldwide.
Half the world's Jewry.
Yeah. You're not talking, you're not talking about a big number. Don't get me wrong. The criticism and look at the power they have, the influence they have, the Hollywood and all this stuff, fair. We can have that conversation, no problem. But they're going to have to make their case and the argument, and I'm so curious now how they're going to make the case. Obviously, Vivek was on Tucker this last week, and Tucker said, Nikki Haley sounds like a child, right? And then Vivek tried to give her, protect her a little bit and say, I don't know about child, but I don't agree with what, he's got to say, what she's got to say. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a great filtering system. And by the way, let me transition to a complete different story. Have you followed what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and Kelsey and the Pfizer thing where ESPN is shitting bricks saying, what the hell is going on? Let me read this story to you. ESPN under fire after Aaron Rodgers challenges Travis Kelsey to vaccine debate on network. This is with Pat McAfee. They're saying,
I love
God.
McAfee's hilarious.
He's good.
I used to not like him. Now I have mad respect. That guy is.
ESPN fans Aaron Rodgers, Travis Kelsey. Rodgers playfully referred to Kelsey as Mr. Pfizer, and Kelsey responded with humor, coining the feud as Mr. Pfizer versus the Johnson & Johnson family. The controversy escalated when Rodgers, during his appearance on the Pat McAfee show, challenged Kelsey to a vaccine debate. He suggested RFK as his partner and Anthony Fauci for Kelsey. ESPN's NFL insider Adam Schefter shared a clip describing it as the potential next great American debate. The decision by ESPN to highlight this debate, which is rooted in widely debunked vaccine-related theories, this is a Mediaite story, triggered strong reactions, with gambling reporter Dustin Gauker stating ESPN should be embarrassed for airing this nonsense.
Yeah, a debate is embarrassing. Someone should find out, how much does the Walt Disney Corporation receive from Pfizer in advertising every single year?
That's a great question.
I don't know if that's public. I watch too much football, right? It's my one indulgence. I know it's woke. I don't care. I just love it. It's a beautiful sport. It's uniquely American.
Do we have his audio of what Rodgers said on Matt?
No, we should.
By the way, this is his media outlet.
And
that's AJ. Rodgers goes to
AJ Hawk right there.
McAfee show all the time.
And before he plays this, Charlie, let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers, Pat, has a chip on his shoulder. Remember when he didn't want to get the vaccine? Yeah. They shamed him. They called him a denier. Everybody went after him like Novak Djokovic.
Yes.
And that's why I think it was brilliant when he won the Open. God bless him and good for him. But, bro, good for him, because think about it. Who's the Travis Kelsey? God forbid all his young following, especially now with what's-her-face? Taylor Swift. The Swifties, and now football's up and telling people to get the vaccine. If, God forbid, one of these 18-year-old boys that follows you, Travis, gets myocarditis, are you paying for it? His hospital bills? No, Adam, are you going to take care of him? No, you're not. So to push this drug that's still freaking new on kids is ridiculous. So, I love this because this is him getting them back for the shit that they put on.
And a good point. It wasn't too long ago, 2 years ago, he did a interview and he said he was immunized.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Immunized. So what does that mean? I got COVID. Immunized. All right.
Yeah.
And then obviously he's got some time on his hands with this Achilles injury. But do we have that audio?
Listen, Mr. Pfizer said he didn't think he would be in a vax war with me. Didn't think he'd be in a vax war with me. This ain't a war, homie. This is just conversation. But if you want to have some sort of duel debate, have me on the podcast. Come on the show. Let's have a conversation.
Pass it out.
Let's do it like in John Wick 4, right? So we both have a second.
Nice.
Right? So somebody to help us out. I'm going to take my man, RFK Jr. As an independent.
Hell yeah.
Right? And he can have, Tony Fauci or some other pharmacrat. And we can have a conversation.
Wondering, am I going to keep this job or not?
Well, I'm happy we got that sorted. Thought for sure you're done with Rogan, but obviously.
Well, Pat, wouldn't you watch that? Wouldn't you watch?
It would never happen.
I know, but I would pay per view for that. Charlie, you wouldn't pay to see that?
Oh, it would.
Let me ask you a question. How much money would you have to pay Anthony Fauci to do a 3-hour debate, long-form podcast?
$10 million. He's not.
No, I actually am asking you a real question.
With who?
What is the dollar amount for Anthony Fauci to agree on a 3-hour debate against RFK? 3-hour. How much money would he want?
And realistically, I don't think he would do it, but $10 million. He's not. Pat,
I'm telling you right now, I'll pay the $10 million.
I know.
I will pay 10 on record right now. I'll pay Fauci $10 million, 3 hours live podcast with RFK, and he still won't do it.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, I'll pay $10 million.
Wow.
He will not.
And he still won't do it.
What?
He still will not do it.
Because he'll get exposed.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Because he's not. There's no way this guy's going to do something like that. Do you know what RFK would do with them, with all the facts and everything?
He
still wouldn't.
He
do
wrote
it.
the book about him.
Yeah, that's right.
He knows about him.
If there's a guy he would never do it with, is with RFK. It would never happen. Never. And he would be the type of guy that would come out and say, of course I would do it. No, this isn't about money. This is about people's health. And there's no way in the world this makes any sense to sit down and talk to an RFK like this. I'm willing to tell you, put the number at 100 million.
I was just going to say that. What if everybody raised? He wouldn't do it for 100 million?
Why do you think he won't do it?
He'll go to jail after.
Actually ask the question, why do you think he won't do it?
Why he won't? Because he'll be exposed for everything that he did. He can go to jail.
Because he can't do it.
Yeah.
The people of power will never let him do it. Yeah, that's right. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He won't get permission to do it. He works for these big pharma guys.
Right.
You can pay him $100 million. They're going to call him and say, dude, go ahead and do it and see what we do to your legacy of NIH and everything that we have on you. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do that. See what happens to you. He wouldn't do it for $100 million.
So crazy because you're so right.
He wouldn't do it for $100 million. Big pharma would never allow him to do it.
What if he said, "I'll do it, pal. I'll take the $100 million, but you guys have to protect me"? Like they're gonna come after me.
Stop it.
No, they would.
He's done.
They do the exact opposite of protect him. They would say, "All right, listen, guy. Here's X amount of money.
I would do $10 million.
There, Tony.
I would do $10 million. I would rent out the Miami Heat Arena, okay? I would bring RFK. I would sell 20,000 tickets. I would do it live. I would bring a moderator from the left to ask questions, moderator from the right to ask questions. I'm the one that's going to be
fact checking.
I'm the one in the middle. I'm the main moderator, but I'll bring guys from, so you can ask RFK whatever questions you want as well, no problem. And somebody on the side can ask Fauci any questions they want outside of what RFK would ask. It would become a big event. It'd be an event the world would watch.
Wow.
And he would still not do it for $10 million.
And
I
Pat,
guarantee you.
Just to add to that, because Charlie mentioned, what Disney would do on this. Let's not forget, Disney owns ABC, which owns ESPN and the whole conglomerate right there. That's why you're bringing this up. But the bigger thing is, and you brought this up on the event that you did with Tim Pool and Matt Gaetz, which was awesome, and James O'Keefe, and you were railing against how much money goes from Big Pharma to legacy media, to the CNNs of the world, to the Foxes of the world, cable news outlets of the world, and that you were harping on. This is something that you've been studying pretty closely. What would happen if they stopped taking Big Pharma money to these major cable outlets?
You know what would happen.
No, I mean, it makes up their whole bottom line, right? I mean, again, I watch a lot of football. Every other commercial is the Travis Kelce commercial. It is running nonstop.
Yep.
Do we have that commercial?
You could do two things at once. It's pathetic.
Get a flu shot and the vaccine.
Yeah, I see it on ESPN property probably 10 times every Saturday for college football.
Rob, we don't need to show it.
Yeah, we don't.
No,
need
we don't need to. Yeah, and those are $50,000 throw spots. So they're spending millions of dollars every day on that ad with ESPN.
Yeah, and it's crazy, Charlie. You see the World Economic Forum lady. Rob, we covered it last week. She's literally, they're not even hiding anymore. You know what she said? We tried to vaccinate the planet, didn't work. She's like, we tried, people can't grasp climate change. Now they're like, let's mess with the water. They're just relentless. They're trying to get rid of all these freaking vaccines, dude. It's disgusting.
Let's talk about Steve Scalise and what's going on there. So story, Wall Street Journal, page 13, if you want to go to it. This is Speaker of the House. This is all the mess that's going on with himself, Jim Jordan. Okay, here we go. Wall Street Journal, October 10th. Steve Scalise, Jim Jordan makes pitches for House Speaker as GOP worries grow. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Republican, and Representative Jim Jordan, Ohio, outlined their visions during a closed-door candidate forum. Lawmakers discussed priorities, including reining in $33 trillion national debt, according to one participant. Some lawmakers expressed uncertainty about either candidate securing the necessary 217 votes, with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, I don't think anybody has 217. A potential rule change could require repeated votes until the winning candidate garners 217 votes, according to Representative Chip Roy. And Mark Amodi sought commitments from candidates, emphasizing support for moving a bill to transfer federal lands to Nevada. So, Charlie, what's going on?
It's
here?
a mess.
Is there going to be a decision being made?
Yeah, there will be. If Scalise becomes Speaker, I think that's a downgrade from McCarthy, to be honest. I mean, I think Scalise is a sweet guy. A Democrat tried to murder him, right? So, and he's also battling cancer.
That was during the whole softball game in D.C., was that?
Yeah, and he's also battling cancer right now. So it's not personal. Yeah. But let me just introduce, a part of this that people are afraid to mention, okay? You physically cannot do the job of Speaker of the House and travel 300 days and raise $300 million from now to next November, in my personal opinion, and also fight cancer. That's a big thing. And that sounds, kind of nasty or unfair, but that needs to be factored in. You have to understand, there's congressional elections every 2 years. right? Pat, you know what it's like to travel 300 days a year. It destroys your body, right? I traveled 3,000 days in the last decade, and it's not easy, right? My back is all screwed up. Imagine you're the Speaker of the House, you have a legislative agenda, you're constantly dealing with a very, very slim majority. You have to travel the country to go raise $300 million, okay? Minimum. Because Hakeem Jeffries is building that war chest, building that war chest, building that war chest. You have to recruit candidates, keep candidates in. You're about to see a whole bunch of retirements come up, right? That's a bad sign, meaning a bunch of Republicans saying, I'm retiring. That means you have to find a new candidate. So the Speaker is in charge of a lot of that stuff at the NRCC. And I mean, I know it's, if you're battling blood cancer, man, that's tough to do that, right? I think that puts us at a significant disadvantage. Plus, he's also way too moderate for my liking. Jim Jordan would have been a big upgrade, right? But Steve Scalise backed Liz Cheney in the primary in Wyoming. He's really bad on Ukraine, in my opinion. Again, nice person, terrible what he's been through, but I think this would be a downgrade if he becomes Speaker of the House.
Why didn't Jim get it though?
Well, it's not. We don't know yet. It's still.
I know, but there was one time
because he's too conservative. Yeah. There's 150 people in the House Republican caucus that are incredibly moderate, right? Very, very moderate. You get like a bad impression because the people that go on television, Anna Paulina Luna, Matt Gaetz, they actually don't make a majority of the Republican conference. A majority of the Republican conference never goes on TV. They kind of keep their head down. They like the title congressman, but they're very moderate. They're transactional Republican regime politicians, right? They kind of just vote for how they're told. They do what leadership tells them. I don't even know. I mean, I know a lot about politics. I don't know like 100 of these guys, right? They're kind of just in the background, but they are very, very mad that McCarthy's no longer Speaker. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to hold the line, and they're like, we're getting a more moderate Speaker. We're going to be in charge. And this is them exacting revenge on Biggs and Rosendale and, Roy and those guys.
So do you think Matt Gaetz could move when he pushed McCarthy out?
Well, I first of all, I was asked him at the time, I said, what is the plan? And he said that anyone is better than Kevin McCarthy. I said, that's not true. Okay. That I don't agree with that. But I said, Matt, you'll either be proven right or be proven wrong, right? If you get a more conservative speaker, someone that I think Jim Jordan, by the way, would be amazing at raising the money. He's, a former, really college level wrestling coach. Like he has great physical stamina. Like he could really go toe to toe with Jeffries on the fundraising tour and the travel circuit, like all that stuff that sometimes can really wear you down. To Kevin McCarthy's credit, he took that very seriously. He traveled like a crazy person just to be able to, handle everything. But yeah, I mean, like Jordan should be the guy. And it's not over yet, but it doesn't look very good for him.
Would you nominate Jordan? I didn't even know about Steve Scalise having blood cancer as we speak. How is that even a consideration?
It's melanoma or something. Can you fact check me on that?
Melanoma, skin cancer, but if it's blood cancer, it's probably leukemia. It's probably what it is.
Either way,
he's dealing with cancer right now. Not exactly advantageous.
See, I wasn't that far off. Myeloma. I'm sorry.
Myeloma.
Okay.
Yeah, myeloma. So if because it sounds like you've had some conversations with Matt Gaetz and you had some agreements and disagreements. Who would you want to see nominated? Because they're talking about nominating Trump, which would literally flip crazy Nancy on her. Flip her in her grave, so to speak.
De Niro would kill himself.
Yeah. I think Jim Jordan would be great. I mean, I think Jim Jordan's super conservative. I've known Jim for years. He would do a terrific job. Honestly, we need to just get the speaker position filled. We have such a slim majority. Every day we're just burning time. We have a continuing resolution coming up.
That's exactly what Democrats want, by the way.
No, I mean, they're loving this, right? We have a wide open border. We have not done anything to rein in Jack Smith. We've done nothing to materially actually find out where the Ukraine money is going. The administrative state is out of control. Like the top priorities for me, none of them are getting done if we don't have a speaker, right? Mm-hmm. And if Steve Scalise makes some commitments and he proves me wrong, great. I mean, I'm not going to really oppose him at this point. We have such a slim majority. At this point, are we going to keep the House in January 2025? And honestly, the odds are not good. The odds are not good for Republicans to keep the House.
But to be clear, Charlie, it sounds like you would have been cool with McCarthy staying speaker.
Yeah, versus Scalise. Yeah, and I mean, it's well known. I get along with Kevin. I have for years. I mean, I think he made a miscalculation on the continuing resolution. I wish he would have held the line, and shutting down the government, I think, would have been appropriate, to be perfectly honest, because it's actually not a shutdown. It's more like a pause. We are a debtor nation, $2 trillion deficit. That's your annual burn. Unsustainable. In my opinion, it should have been the Republicans' big last stand, and instead, he did a punt, and he punted 45 days. He lost the speakership as a result of it. We are destroying the dollar, right? Our deficit spending is shredding the dollar. We don't have a border. We're in a crisis, and I wish